All right, so welcome to the David Ellefson Show. And for once, the first time ever, hi Josh.
Hi, how are you?
We've never been in the same room. Have we ever been in the same room for anything ever?
We have.
Okay.
I interviewed you at Rockin' Pod back in the day.
That's right, in Nashville.
So yeah, we did. We've done one in-person live interview.
And there was like 8,000 podcasters there,
And
right?
Technically, I met you in 1995. on the
you
Youth
were like,
Asia.
what, 6?
I was 15. So,
15, okay.
yeah.
And the Youth Asia, did you bring the can of soup?
Yeah, it was the can. It was the canned food drive. I think we took 10 pounds of canned food to the local food bank. They gave you a backstage pass that looked like a Campbell's soup can. You know, I've made so many jokes about that over the years. I was like, the Megadeth canned food drive. I think I still have the actual printout of like what you had to do to get the backstage pass somewhere, because I'm a hoarder and I have way too much stuff.
You know, last night a guy in Detroit brought the very first press release that Capitol Records ever put out, and it was about from when we filmed the P-Cells video at Lemoore in Brooklyn, the whole thing. So anyway, here we are. Kings of Thrash is our last night of our tour here in Covington. Here we'll be off now for a few weeks before we go to Mexico. And you have been on tour. You just got home from your Primer 55 tour.
It's been amazing. It's been wild that I was talking to Chaz a little bit ago, your singer, about just the fact that it's weird that people give a shit about this band again. Because I was there for the lean years when nobody cared, and just coming to these shows, so many kids out there, merch flying off the rack there. So yeah, we leave again starting November 1st at the machine shop where you just were, and then we go to Cadillac, Michigan, where you just were.
Yeah. Basically everywhere I just went, I see your tour coming up. So that's Primer 55 and Spine Shank, right?
Smile Empty Soul.
Smile Empty Soul. Okay, got it. Okay, cool, got it. So that's coming up. Yeah. So I kept seeing. In fact, you were going, hey, are they advertising? And I go, hey, I see it. There it is. So everywhere I went, you were coming back. So, last night was a really cool one. So we played the Token Lounge in Detroit. Now, my memory of that, it's new owner. It's been totally refurbed. Got a nice stage, nice dressing room facilities. And in fact, he was getting it ready for Ace Frehley to come because he was going to be there, I think, next week. So obviously they had a nice... rest in peace, Ace on the marquee and everything. But what I remember before that, it was a smaller place, and it had the angled triangle stage, right? So this is
the corner
fall
stage.
1986. We're coming through there with Megadeth on some version of the P-Cells tour, and we're playing through there, and there's the stage, and then right over here was the door to go outside, and we had our motorhome or RV parked out there between the street and the venue. And I remember we stayed on the bus or on the RV until that night the Headbangers Ball debuted and premiered the P-Cells But Who's Buying video.
Oh, nice.
So it was super awesome. We did that, and then I think we went inside and played at 12:30 in the morning or whatever it was. So I always talk to the new owner about that, and I just kind of go back. That's my throwback. So for me, I like going through these places because there's, as far as I know, again, I think we've talked about this, the Metro in Chicago, I think, is the only venue that's still around that Megadeth would have ever played at for, say, like the Killing Is My Business tour from those early days. So the Token Lounge, while it was not the Killing Is My Business tour, kind of an OG spot. That owner, I guess, bought Blondie's, which was another spot. In fact, I remember we played there, I think it was with Exciter. The place is as big as this dressing room. It's tiny. And I remember we had to have our roadie guy Scott hold the mic because fans kept stage diving and smashing the mic into Dave's teeth. So he's trying to keep the mic steady. And then on our tour too, it's funny, we just got on the turnpike. I think it's Interstate 95, heading across Pennsylvania to go to Pittsburgh, and our bus got a flat tire. And I was going, wait a minute. We broke down here on the same highway on the Killing Is My Business tour. Of course, we were in a van, and then we downsized to a Chevy Caprice. And then Gar was driving, and I was in the back seat. He had his DW drum pedals because we had to take everything from the van, fit it into the Caprice, leave the van on the side of the road. Like, well, we'll deal with that later, which who knows if we did. So I go to swipe mine. My dad gave me a credit card to go to LA with, and I never used it because I never called home for money. I was like, I got to make my own way if I'm really gonna be a rocker. I got to eat, as Eddie Van Halen called it, musician soup. You got to eat top ramen and all that stuff, which we did. So I swiped the card. I'm like, my dad's going to kill me. So I swiped the card so we don't die on the side of the road. We get in the Chevy Caprice, driving through the night. Gar's now behind the wheel somehow. And so he's, Gar's not the guy you want behind the wheel. So it's, cigarette. So he's driving. And I said, God, can you let these pedals out of here? And so he turns around like this, literally while driving, drives off the road at 85 miles an hour, shears off a signpost, like deer crossing.
Right.
Shears that off. We're down in the ditch. It was like, there's that frightening moment. You go, this is it. It's over. This is the Killing Is My Business tour. I said, it's really that. And the car comes to a stop. And I remember getting out. We're just freaking silent, horrified, right? I get out. I go up to the highway. There's a semi-truck pulls over. He goes, you guys all right? You need any help? And I'm embarrassed. I'm like, yeah, a deer came across the road. And he's like, yeah, I saw what happened. Anyway, so he uses the winch on the front of his truck to pull us out of the ditch.
Oh, nice.
We have to then put the little donut tire on. Right. You're supposed to drive like 50 miles, and we still let him drive like 200 more miles into Cleveland. So that was, I think, day 3 at the Killing Is My Business.
Oh, nice.
So when we broke down, I'm like, well, at least we're in a bus. At least we're comfortable. But here we go again.
Right.
Back on the road.
And you posted that was it the state trooper that...
Yeah, the state trooper came up. So he was, I don't know if he was in Motionless in White, but he was buddies with that guy. He was like a deathcore singer.
Right.
Lead singer. Right. So he starts talking about all kinds of metal. He goes, God, I thought you looked familiar when you got off the bus. I said, yeah, it's me. So we gave him some pics then he said, yeah, it's this guy Motionless in White. So it's like, I was like, oh shit. So like, you're like a real freaking like metal dude, So we just started talking metal, on the side of the road while the tow truck came and fixed our tire and sailed on into Pittsburgh. So do you guys have any harrowing experiences, or was it all pretty safe and uneventful?
This one was pretty smooth. The next run goes, through South Dakota and Colorado. So a lot of hills, a lot of ups and downs. So I'm sure that this time around, we'll end up with some weather or something. But like I was telling you earlier, I was like, the guitar tech I found, he's also a mechanic. He's also a carpenter. So hopefully, like if we do break down,
note to self, that's the guitar tech to have. The guy that can rebuild the car, fix any amp, fix anything on the road, right?
I remember one time I was in a band and we were driving down the road and the muffler fell off and like nobody knew what to do. And a friend of ours, he crawled under the van, he grabbed somebody's chain wallet, rigs it up to the bottom of the van, and we made it all the way home with a rig
with a chain wallet. I mean, we hear a lot about duct tape and gaff tape, right? Gaff tape is like the road's best friend. Yeah. You can pretty much fix anything with gaff tape, Even if you have a wound, you just put some gaff tape on it, you're good to go.
You were talking too about, the Token Lounge and Metro. And it was funny on this last run, we did 7 shows in 8 days, just kind of test the water, see how the band was doing. But 2 of the shows one was at Pops, which has been there forever.
Yeah.
I've played since the 90s.
Yeah.
And then we also played the Bottleneck in Kansas or wherever. And it's just like, these venues do not die.
They don't die. No. I remember Pops, I think the first time we played there was probably with Jeff Young on the So Far So Good So What tour. And then I remember playing there before Megadeth disbanded in 2001. We played there again on The World Needs a Hero.
Right.
And it's one of those things going, oh my God, are we back here again? I thought we were going up. Yeah. And it's funny because it is that. I was telling guys, guys on the tour, obviously I've got some stories about all of it, but I said, man, I remember on the Risk tour, we were back down, in some smaller places because that record just didn't connect. We took a direction, as our manager said, we zigged and the world zagged, with the Godsmacks and Disturbs and, the active rock, modern rock stuff happening. And, and so it is, a real career is like that, I mean, the Kiss guys talk about it. Going from the glory days to back down with no makeup. And they probably didn't play the clubs and the bars. I mean, Iron Maiden, when they had Blaze Bayley in the band, I remember Nico came out we were playing the House of Blues in like Fort Lauderdale, and I think they had just played there, so it goes this way sometimes.
I think Kiss around Revenge, I think they ended up coming all the way down to clubs, and then they got back up there. It was like, they were down for a second, but I was looking the other day, through this podcast, we interviewed Rudy Sarzo. He invites me out to the Quiet Riot Ace Frehley show. So we go and we see Ace, and I looked it up afterwards. I think he played 8 shows after that show, and I was we actually left early because Ace was not in a good place to be on stage. Ace was not the place, but and with his health issues and things like that, I was really hoping that he was going to get off the road and take care of himself and then get back out there. And unfortunately, all
the dates he ended up canceling were basically the dates that were right in front of our tour, you know, and soon to be your tour, right? So anyway, we've been bringing up Gabriel, who is in Red Devil Vortex. So Gabriel and Luis, guitar player, bass player, they're also in a band with Todd Kurtz from Slash's band, and they're doing the Kiss Cruise, which is in Vegas, right? Like the landlocked Kiss cruise. How does a cruise leave from Vegas? It's like, oh, it's that one. So, but that's been fun. And coming up playing Cold Gin, which Ace wrote. He didn't sing it. Right. He didn't sing until Shock Me. When as to legend goes, Gene and Paul finally said, "We're tired of singing your songs. You need to sing." Best thing that ever happened to him. Oh yeah. Because then he can go out and go solo. He can go sing his own songs.
Yeah, he had a very distinct voice. Like, it wasn't the greatest, operatic voice or whatnot, but like when it came to just a cool, like it was just, Ace was cool, man. He had a cool voice, had a cool vibe, played a cool guitar, played cool guitar solo. So yeah, he definitely, I don't know, lead singer of a band all the time, I don't know, but like when those songs pop up, you're just like, man, this is so good.
Rock Soldier, right. And Rocket Ride. I mean, come on, man, that's such a killer one. It's funny, we all, I think, kind of did our tributes to Ozzy. I know when we started in Southern Cal, we were playing Paranoid, because that kind of has a Megadeth connection. And we actually did cover Strange Ways on Euthanasia sessions, but a little more of a deep cut. We just kind of felt like Cold Gin off Kiss Alive. So I was thinking last night, we had our Megadeth moment with the P-Cells video there at the Token Lounge, and then we're playing Cold Gin, which I think was recorded live at Cobo Hall in Detroit for Kiss Alive. So, the skin is so great seeing the Kiss t-shirts everywhere and going to that Kiss monument, which you have to go to in Cadillac. Dude, that is so badass, that thing.
Yeah, as soon as I saw Cadillac, Michigan on the tour list, I was like, well, I guess the football team's having a rough year. They need us to come and help them out.
Cadillac is like smaller than Jackson, Minnesota, where I grew up, right? It's just a cool town on a lake. And I would set the GPS and go, we're going straight to the monument first, and then we'll go do a little sound check and everything else later.
How far was the monument from the venue?
4 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's like everything's 4 minutes. It's like a square.
There's one traffic light.
Super easy town to get around in. So yeah, that was, man. I just remember reading like in Hit Parader and Circus Magazine about Kiss going there. And the keys to the city. And it's funny because when the mayor in Jackson, Minnesota gave October 9th to me as David Ellefson Day in Jackson, I remember a friend of mine said, "You know what else was October 9th?" I said, "No, what? The day Kiss got the keys to the city in Cadillac, Michigan." So I love October 9th. So
yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get the key to the city. I grew up in Hendersonville, Tennessee. That's Taylor Swift. That's Johnny Cash. That's, I'm somewhere down on the totem pole of
key to the bathroom.
Yeah, I'll get the
key to the janitor closet, right?
Yeah, Diplo was there and stuff like that. But yeah.
Well, look, I'm starting to get the emails. We had a Zoom call we've got the Alice Cooper Rock and Roll Fantasy Camps coming up here. So there's 2 weekends, and so a whole bunch of guys. We all know each other. We've all played in various somewhere doing something together. Right. But there's kind of the counselors. We do a jam. It's kind of the all-star jam. It's kind of like back to the beginning. There's all-star band A, counselor band B. You know what I mean? Right. So I already know this. So just getting our songs together. So already I'm like downloading them and putting my ears on them and just kind of getting familiar with them again, because it's best. I don't know about you, but I always like to go in when you can play a song that you're a fan of. Half of the homework is done because you just know it. You know it by heart as opposed to knowing it from memory, and it's that adage that the longest distance, the longest 12 inches from the head to the heart,
right?
Is not just an emotional thing. It's also for learning stuff, right? If you to memorize it is one thing, but to really know it in your heart and play from your heart, like we do on stage, to perform and not even really be thinking about anything because it's just stored right there. So I'm kind of doing the same thing with that and learning some of those tunes.
I always think it's funny when I go to learn something and I'm like, "Oh, this is all this is." Like, it's like 3 notes, and you're like, "How did they get this incredible masterpiece out of like three notes?" What
was hard for me was Kiss songs. I realized that for as big of a Kiss fan as I was, me and Greg Andevin, like our bands, we never played any. They were too hard. It's like, it's funny. And Jeff Young pointed out, Paul Stanley kind of had this Rolling Stones kind of style
Yeah.
about how he played, and then Ace had this more, you know, Skinner da 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 da. You need kind of play that bar chord with the, you know, that
Right.
extra note there. So the two of them, that's what made their styles very different. I was like, because we're talking, should we do Detroit Rock City? Like, which Kiss song should we play to sort of honor Ace, you know? And of course, we had 3 shows in Michigan, which is pretty much Kiss territory, right? I mean,
Right.
they, you know, Michigan pretty much, you know, grew that fan base for them back in the 70s, you know. But yeah, so anyway, it's just, you know, but at least I just know a Kiss song just from hearing it on the, you know, 80,000 times on Kiss Alive or Destroyer or whatever your Kiss album is. It's kind of like you already know it because you've listened to it so much as a kid. You know?
I've always hated it. God of Thunder. The God of Thunder riff is actually guitar. It's just, you know, the bass line is just
yeah.
But I always play that on bass. I'm like, God, because it just sounds like
it
should be a bass line.
If Geezer played it, he'd have played da da da. He would play the whole fucking riff. Gun, because that's how Geezer would do it, you know. But you're right. It's really a guitar riff with just this kind of simple, pounding, thunderous bass underneath.
Also crazy. That's a Paul song, not a Gene song.
Yeah, isn't that funny? So it's funny with Kiss. Yeah, it's like, you know, Ace would write songs that Gene and Peter Criss would sing, and then Paul writes a song that basically became Gene's motto, the God of Thunder, right? So anyway, yeah, good times out here, man. It's dude, it's good to finally see you face to face in the podcast. So our first time ever.
Right.
That can be the headline. Josh and David meet for the first time.
And I think we'll be doing this again in a couple weeks. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So look, you're coming back down into my neck of the woods. I'll be home for a bit. Yeah, I got the fantasy camp, and then Kings of Thrash goes to Mexico, and then I'm over to Europe. We just announced Bass Warrior. I've got just a week of dates, late November into like the first week of December. So, and a couple new territories down there too. We're going over to Belgium, which I've not been to before, and then another show kind of down by, I guess, in Verona, Venice, somewhere down in there. So anyway, it's always fun with that.
And we just announced a South America tour too.
Dude,
I actually had to go to the post office and get my passport.
They do. Nice. Dude,
so yeah,
everybody's doing it. You know, so
it's like Argentina, Peru, Mexico, Brazil.
Like a real tour.
Yeah, it's like a
real proper Latin America tour.
Just like, you know, I mean, it's wild reading the name. You're like, oh God.
You know, and it's funny with your genre, new metal, it's called, right? How that came in so many years later, and really many years later after it was already popular in America, right? Like I remember there was a run, wasn't it like Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, maybe Hailstorm? Yeah, it was only like 5 years ago. Yeah. And that was like a big deal, of course, as it should be. But it was like, God, that's 20, 25, you know, it's almost 20 years after the scene kind of those bands broke, you know. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, like when we were getting merch and everything together for this last tour, I was like staunch that we just needed large through like 4X t-shirts, you know, and because I thought it was just going to be a bunch of dudes, you know, a bunch of old dudes.
Big dudes in the Midwest.
And every show, like the first couple of rows were just
young kids. Yeah.
Young girls, young kids. I was just like, what is going on? And they're singing deep cuts. And
so watch, you're going to see it. I noticed this when I went back to Megadeth in 2010, and we were doing the Rust in Peace 20th anniversary. There was this, you know, young fan base in the front row. And then, new generation. The generation after that, sort of back, you know, back in the arena by the soundboard. And then, you know, the OGs were up in the seats going, I'm not getting my ass kicked.
Yeah, my knees are out.
And now it would be a fourth, you know, four, because it seems like about every 10 years is a new generation of rock and roll, you know, so we're lucky.
We're in a renaissance right now. It's pretty awesome.
Dude, it's awesome.
All right, man.
All right, well, there it is. Yeah. So here we are. And there you are. And we will see you soon. Thanks.